Eileo guys, and welcome back. And in today's video, I'll give you the lowdown on how many Astromon you need from the Primo Festivals that happen every month. So, let's get right into it. Just a quick introduction before I begin here. The Primo Festival is a banner where the subject Astromon has the highest probability of being pulled. This means if you have 33,000 Astro Gems, you can walk away with not only the light and dark versions of that Astromon, but plenty of RGB ones. If you are a new player to the game, then I would not worry about these festivals for now, but more on that later. Starting this list off in alphabetical order, I will tell you which elements are worthwhile, their areas of expertise, how many you should aim for and get to Evo 3, and if they should be variant or not. If you do not see certain mons mentioned here, that simply means that their Primo Festival is optional in its entirety. In other words, pulling for them will not do much to progress your account. Starting with the Acers, the water one is mandatory for Titans while the wood one is great for Apophis. Optimally speaking, 4 water Acers would be the play as there would be 2 in both lanes. For the wood version, 3 of them are sufficient and can be used in all 3 swords. Due to Acer's Deathblow lead, I also recommend her to be variant as she can bring a lot of damage. Moving over to Garuda, light and dark is optional as the light is a Nat 5 version of Light Yuki. Dark Garuda hits like a butt cheek on a stick, but requires books. Content-wise, the only viable one is Wood Garuda, and I recommend 2 of those preferably with their ultimate evolutions, and 1 in each of the left lanes for Water Titan. No variant needed for Garuda. Following Garuda comes Gilgamesh, who follows the same format. I recommend 2 Water Gilgamesh fully booked if possible for Fire Titan. The light and dark versions are not as interesting as they used to be due to easier access to better Nat 5s. Once again, no variant is needed. Water Glinda is optional in my opinion if you do not have a few water laylaps, so I would recommend 2 to 3 for Apophis, no variant needed. Next on the list is Indra, who to this date has had a single run. The only one worth mentioning is Dark Indra for hitting Light Titan, and I would recommend 2 to 4 of him if possible. Variant in this case would not hurt either. In line after Indra is Jianwuchi, and there are 3 elements worthy of discussion. I recommend 3 Fire Jianwuchis because he is a killer when it comes to Apophis and the Void Dungeon. I also recommend 3 Light Jianwuchis with the same application as he is probably the best supporting lethal striker in the game right now due to his shield. Last but not least is also Dark Jianwuchi. Due to his ultimate evolution, he can go toe to toe with Dark Indra on a good day. I would recommend 2 Dark Jianwuchis especially if you do not have Dark Indra. No variant is needed by the way, but couldn't hurt. Midsummer Miho is next, so let's talk about her. There is only one type I recommend, and that is Dark Midsummer Miho due to her kit and potential pair up with Light Jianwuchi. If you go for her, then I recommend 3 at the very minimum to kick butt in Apophis and the Void Dungeon. Variant is optional, but not necessary. Okeanos, a filthy casual version of Indra. The elusive Okeanos is a decisive Astromon, as I would only recommend her if you already had the majority of your teams in place. With that being said, I recommend a minimum of 2 light and dark Okeanos depending on the content that you do. Ideally, you could bump up the dark to 4, but that is on you. The reason for this is that both units have offense and defense. This paired up with attack up from either Dark Venus or Light Baby Shark can help your lethal strikers and courageous strikers drop some heavy blows, so both baby girls will be used in Titans, Apophis, and the Void Dungeon. I recommend at least 1 variant for the dark one as an attack down lead is always nice to have. Serio is another mon that you can mix and match with Midsummer Miho if you already happen to have a few. Wood Serio is a better version of Wood Summer Miho, so if you have neither, then I would go for 3 Wood Serials. Light Serial is the only other one worth mentioning, and I would go for her as well if you do not have any Dark Midsummer Mihos. If you already have Dark Midsummer Miho, then feel free to skip Light and just pick up 3 Wood for Apophis and the Void Dungeon. Dark Serial is optional here as she could be used as support for Wood Apophis. A variant is not needed by the way. Coming in hot after Serial is Shinobi. Fire and Light Shinobis are the only 2 elements that I would personally recommend. At minimum, you want at least 3 to 4 Fire Shinobis for Titans on the right lane and the lower levels of the Void Dungeon. Light Shinobi, I recommend 2 for Titans. A variant would be great for Light Shinobi, and it would not hurt the Fire one at all either. Also, make sure you get them all to their ultimate evolutions. Sun Wukong, the brother to Fire Shinobi, wreaking havoc on Fire Titan. Bottom line up front, I recommend 4 Fire Sun Wukongs for both left lanes of Titans and the Void Dungeon. All 4 should have their ultimate evolutions, and I recommend at least 2 be variant, as that Deathblow lead is Chef's Kiss. These are all the Astromon I recommend going for when it comes to the Primo Festivals if you do not have them already, as their contributions to your teams will be more impactful than some of the Astromon I will now mention as optional. Keep in mind, you should be focusing on a single element of Titan first to not stretch yourself too thin with these festivals. The same goes for Apophis as well. On the honorable mentions list, there is Water/Light Enkidu, who is applicable in Apophis and Titans. They aren't necessary, but are decent slot holders. 2 of each will be all that you need. Dark Beach Muse Seiren is a decent slot holder for Light Titan until you can get something better. She can be paired up with Dark Jianwuchi, and no variant is necessary. The same can be said for Dark Jormungandr. Feel free to pair him up with Dark Jianwuchi as well. Variant Dark Hades can be used to hit Wood Apophis for the first sword if you happen to have a couple lying around. There's also Water Hades for the left lane of Fire Titan. You can also go for 2 of those. Both Light and Dark Persephones aren't mandatory, but are nice to have as both offensive and defensive mons for PvP. Ultimate Evolution recommended. Last and least is Eileo. I have not heard much about him, so take this with a grain of salt. Light Eileo can be used for Wood Apophis if you already have them. Other than that, there's Fire and Dark, who offer Keen for their 5-star skills. These mons could be placeholders until you get something better at the very minimum. With that being said though, that about wraps up this video. Keep in mind, all mons talked about here have had at least 1 Primo Festival, and many have been cycled through a few times by now. Hopefully, this video helps guide you through the wonderful world of MSL and its banners. Feel free to leave any other tips or mons I may have missed in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and peace.